Hi, everyone. I'm Colleen. I was at camp this weekend and I was on a walk with Lola and I got a nudge that there was a message for you. So I turned the camera and recorded, your imaginary walk with Lola while I channeled the message like I usually do. I made some comments at the end and like my vanity just makes me have to do this preface. It was a heat wave. It was 47 degrees Celsius here in Northern Ontario. And I look like it's 47 degrees Celsius and I'm going for a walk. So it's a little bit of huffing and puffing and a little bit of, you know, messy hair. But I think the message has value. So I really wanted to share it with you. Here we go. Hello, everyone. This is the Council of Trust. There is a new phase of your spiritual path emerging. And although this phase will be relevant for all lightworkers, it will emerge for each of you in a very different and unique way. As part of your awakening journey, you are now entering a consolidation phase. And what we mean by this is a phase of putting it all together in your own unique way. You have been diligently researching, learning, spiritual theory, readings and insights and healings that are specific to your own journey or specific to other journeys, such as helping the earth to evolve. As when one is in school and one does the research for an assignment. The research phase can be the longest part of the journey. And so it is in the life path. The phase of unfolding, of learning, of discovering, of striving, of networking, and of working to find information is the longest phase in the human awakening journey. Now, you enter the phase of consolidation. This is where you put it all together into the final report. Writing the final report in school requires some analysis. You are required to take all the bits of information and put them together in a unique way. One cannot reproduce the writings of others. That is plagiarism, and you will fail the test. One must write their own unique report, their own unique story that is different from everyone else's. So, what we are saying to you is that it is time to encourage the spirit of consolidation. Take all that information you have gathered and consolidate it into your story. What is your story? What is the outcome? Of course, you cannot know the ultimate outcome. But you can begin to put together the various pieces of information, theory, mindset that you have collected over the years and months. Nothing that you have researched, no reading, no message from external sources, even from internal sources, is complete and 100% correct. Everything that comes right now to humanity comes through a filter of a human. Be that you, or be that the person doing the reading, Colleen doing this channel, always through a filter, always slightly perspectivized, slightly changed through the experiences, beliefs, desires, and so on of the person giving the message, or writing the book, or making the video. Therefore, it is important for you to intuitively put it together into your own stream of thought. Take all those pieces and put them together into your own personal roadmap, your own personal story of how it all works, of where you have been, of where you currently are, and of where you are going. This will not be done overnight. This is a phase of time that you are entering. We are saying, while doing your research, watching your videos for entertainment purposes and inspiration, adjust the focus to not be taking each piece of information as rote and then living confused about how they all go together. Instead, take each piece of information and write it into the version that feels beautiful to you. Does this mean you can change facts that you have been told by a channeler or a book or a reading or a healing? Yes. Do this in a state of wonder, in a state of excitement for finding out. Do this with discernment and with a strong guide of yourself, your gut feeling, as you call it, which is your intuition, which is your guides, and your higher self leading you. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Council of Trust. What a great message. I have actually been doing this for quite a while. I've been on this spiritual path for 30 years. And, you know, I've absorbed a ton of information, done a ton of research, and lots of it conflicting or confusing and all very inspiring. But I have found in the last few years that I've begun to develop my own theory, knowing of how it all works, of who I am and what the different signs mean and what I've done in the past. And this is taking all the information that's been given to me. But like they said, you know, everything needs discernment because we have no choice but to channel it through our own filters and through our own experiences. So each person, like what they're saying, needs to use their intuition to develop their own story of what's important of all that information. That also people who channel or do readings or healings or whatever do that in their own area of interest. And so it is time, they're saying, to start putting it together for ourselves. I do a lot of this through like internal reflection, just letting myself think about it and believing what I'm putting together, you know. And then I do a lot of it by talking it out. So now I've had the luxury of having Cindy, Lady of the Forest 444, to talk to for years. And now I have my Patreon friends. And it also takes discernment when discussing with somebody, right? Because you are each going to have different stories. I did a video a while ago about how everybody's awakening is unique. And so you can't take what someone else tells you is on your path. Like that's the opposite of empowerment. So I don't think it's an easy process. I think, you know, like they related this to school. And you know, in school, it's easier to like plagiarize or get AI to write your essay or whatever. But that's not true learning. That's not how you put it all together. It's also against the rules in school. And I think somehow that is true in this journey as well. I was all done recording and I thought of something else that I wanted to add. So here I am back. You might notice that the background's a little different and that it's really hot out. We're having a heat wave here. What I wanted to mention was that what you put together as your story might change over time. You know, you take in some of the information and you put it together and your gut tells you that that's what the story is. And then over time, I got into Dolores Cannon for a little while and got really focused on, you know, my alien roots, and figured that I had been seeded here in some way. And now, and like, so that became very much the focus of what I read and how I thought I was going to move forward and things like that, and what I did as my spiritual practices. And now, like, that has evolved. And it's not that I think there's anything wrong with Dolores Cannon theory or that I don't have alien roots, but my views on that part of my history have changed, and on how big it is in the scope of what I need to know in order to be able to ascend, because I've really changed my thinking that figuring out who I was before is not how I'm going to ascend. Figuring out who I was before is going to be a byproduct of ascension. But my living this life in a peaceful way and you know, spending as much time in joy as possible and clearing my karma and turning it in, integrating the energy in light while looking at the light. That's what's going to bring ascension, and an ascension is going to bring the truth of who I truly am, and that all the rest is just clues and fun. We should be having fun with it. So I hope that was inspiring. Let me know in the comments what you think. Thanks very much for joining us, and we'll see you soon.